Welcome back to the Dethroning Your Inner Critic YouTube channel, where you can learn how to stop the self-sabotaging voice in your head from getting in the way of living your most empowered and abundant life. So today I want to talk about the secret to shaping your worldview. So first, let's define, what is your worldview? So your worldview is the filter through which you see the world around you. These filters are actually automatic and habitual beliefs that help you make sense of all of your experiences. So through your worldview, you interpret life in a particular way, and it affects how you think and how you feel and how you live your life from day to day. And every one of us has a worldview, because how you're thinking and feeling actually sits on top of cultural messages that have been handed down to us from generation to generation. And these cultural narratives actually frame the meaning that we assign to everything in our lives. We don't even define our own narratives. They're given to us. And most people don't know that. So they relate to their personal narrative and then interact with themselves and their choices and their actions and their decisions and their relationships with everyone through the lens of this narrative. So the things we value and believe don't just come from us. They come from the collective manufacturing of what we are taught to believe about what makes us who we are and what makes us feel fulfilled and accomplished and successful in our life. So your worldview is so deeply ingrained that you might not even know why you have some of the beliefs and values that you have. It shapes the way you feel about everything, which then impacts the actions that you take. And the actions that you take in every aspect of your life, in your relationships, your career, your business, the parts of your life that matter to you the most, that's the very thing that makes up your life. So your reality is really only the story that you tell. So your worldview might sound like, I'm not good enough to have the business that I want, or I'm not good enough to write that book, or I'm never going to have the impact I want to make in the world. Now, that was my worldview for a long time. So it could also sound like, I have to make sure that people always see how valuable and accomplished and successful I am. So both of these are the flip side of the same coin, because either your self-doubt keeps you from reaching for your vision, or you're so focused on being defined by your goals that you can't even find true fulfillment and joy exactly where you are in your life. So either you are afraid of going for your success, or you're using your success to define your value and worthiness. And both of these worldviews can be destructive. So your worldview that robs you of your joy and fulfillment is not anything new or unique. In fact, those inner narratives are incredibly well worn. But we think that our worldview is just ours. Your beliefs are manufactured. These thoughts that you think over and over again, and you believe them to be unique to you and believe them to be facts, are actually created by you. So the good news is that creations can be changed with new creations. Just because your mind makes you believe that you feel angry or scared or sad doesn't mean that that's reality. It's just your automatic worldview that dominates your feelings. And your automatic worldview has been shaped by your inner critic. So your worldview can have you sacrifice your emotional, physical, spiritual, psychological well-being because you want to get someone else to value you, or you think other people are expecting things from you. So the secret to shaping your worldview is to understand that you are the one who creates it. You are responsible for the way your life looks right now. It looks the way that it looks. You have the results that you have in your relationships, in your business, in your health, in your emotional and physical and spiritual and psychological well-being because of your worldview. So because of the world that we live in today, we are collectively so far removed from using our intuition and our inner knowing to guide our life. And not only do too many women not honor their intuition and their inner knowing, but they're actually so far removed from it that they can't even identify it. And this is why we need to do the work to change our worldview. Now, your worldview first began as a self-protection. So something happened when you were very young. Either a parent said or did something, or a kid in school said or did something, or someone else said or did something, but something happened that made you feel in some way bad. And you felt it all over, right? Like in the pit of your stomach. I can remember the feeling in the pit of my stomach when I was bullied in kindergarten. I can remember where I was standing in the classroom. I can remember the names of the kids. And in that moment, my winning strategy of my life was defined. Now it's kind of a backwards winning strategy, okay? Because I decided that I needed to make sure that I never felt this way again, right? So I wanted to make sure that I was valued by everyone. So that worldview shaped the actions that I took. And as a result of those actions, I did create a lot of success as defined by our cultural worldview. But I was not truly happy, and I was not truly fulfilled, and I was not truly living. So many people don't know what is right and true for them because their worldview that guides their choice is based on focusing outside of themselves to try and reach an ideal image of the way that their life is supposed to look and who they're supposed to be. And that's been handed down to us for generations. And this is how we fall into destructive patterns of thought that create destructive behaviors and destructive habits. So here's the worst part. When our inner critic is creating our worldview, we don't even realize that we're comparing ourselves and our lives to some ideal image that we don't know is really unattainable. And so then we wonder why we're experiencing ourselves and our life with diminished confidence and lack of trust in ourselves and feeling like we're just not good enough. So many people think a successful life means you have to look a certain way and behave a certain way and never waste any time sitting around, and you should never feel tired or overwhelmed or lost, and you should never struggle to get things done, and you should always be on the right path towards your goal. And that life exists only in our made up imaginary idea of the lives that other people are living. No one's living that life, I promise you. And yet we believe that this is what it means to be happy and fulfilled. So we're always feeling less than. This is so important. Our worldview makes us think that we should be living a life that's completely unattainable. So when you listen to your mind spinning like a blender with these same thoughts over and over, your inner critic is ruling your life. and undermining your confidence to take risks and trust your choices. So we created our worldview when we were children and believed our inner critic's messages to be the truth. Now, as adults, we have far more resources and skills and resilience to deal with our world around us. But if we still see ourselves in our lives through that same old worldview, then that's the life we will create, where we're exhausted and unfulfilled and unhappy and unbalanced and not accomplishing our goals. Or maybe we are accomplishing our goals, but our thoughts and our feelings and our actions are governed by our worldview that was defined by our inner critic. Right? Now, our inner critic only wants what she wants so that she can prove our value. But there's the discrepancy between what our inner critic wants and what our authentic self wants. And this is exactly what creates all of our suffering. There's nothing wrong with having goals. I have a lot of goals, but we need to be very clear who's creating the goal. Is it our inner critic or is it our authentic self? Because our inner critic has a lot of endless opinions about everything we do and what other people say or do. And so when the goal comes from our inner critic, we are attached to the opinions of others. And then we undermine ourselves with every step of the path towards the goal. We're not grounded in a place of inner strength and empowerment, right? And here is the paradox. All we ever want in life will come to us when we already know that we're good enough and we have nothing to prove. So when we're living a life of self-acceptance and self-compassion and peace and gratitude and fulfillment, that's when we'll create our dreams. If we don't know how to distinguish the difference between our inner critic voice and the voice of our authentic self, then we're only taking guidance from our inner critic mind. And then we come to believe that our inner critic is speaking the truth. So the more we deeply believe it, and the more we see our world through that lens, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we walk through the world looking for confirmation of our inner critic's messages. And then we produce the results that match our inner critic's story. So our worldview has us constantly striving for the next thing to achieve or get so that we can finally feel fulfilled or happy or successful. So every day our inner critic feeds our worldview. She feeds our self-criticism, our distrust in ourselves, our ambivalence. She'll cause us to retreat from achieving our goals. She'll lead us to burnout and paralysis, where we're literally unable to do the things we want to do because we're so afraid we're going to fail. So the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to get to know your inner critic voice so intimately that you can recognize when she's taking over your mind and your emotions and your behaviors. So when you can clearly and easily distinguish between the voice of your inner critic and the voice of your authentic self, that's when you hold the secret to shaping your worldview. Thanks for watching. And for more videos that show you how to stop the self-sabotaging voice in your head from getting in your way of living your most empowered and abundant life, hit the subscribe button.